48 Views.
Yo, what's good everybody? Welcome to 48 Views and happy Saturday. It's been a minute since our last video, but last weekend was All-Star Weekend and the players basically gave no effort.
The rim. This is shot.
Okay.
Wow, there's a lot of time left. That was.
In today's video, I want to talk through my thoughts on a few events from NBA All-Star Weekend and shed light on what I think is the biggest challenge the NBA is facing moving forward. Basketball is heating up as we approach March, so I'm excited to share that we plan to expand the scope of what we're covering here at 48 Views. Please do me a favor by subscribing to the channel if you have not already to get the latest content and help us continue to grow. So with all that housekeeping stuff out the way, let's talk about All-Star Weekend. In recent years, the highlight of the NBA All-Star Weekend for the most part has been the dunk contest or three-point contest, and this year was nothing different. The NBA added a 1v1 three-point shooting contest this year between Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu, and honestly, this really was very cool to see. Here you had the greatest shooter ever against the best shooter in the WNBA currently, who put up a historic shooting performance in her very own All-Star three-point shootout last year. And they definitely delivered. Sabrina probably was in front of the biggest crowd she's ever been in front of, and for a second, I actually thought she was going to beat Steph. In the end, Steph did what Steph does, and Sabrina lost by 2 or 3 shots. But overall, I thought it was major for both of them to put themselves out there like that to help elevate All-Star Weekend, and that was just another cool component about this event. Now, there was a weird moment right after Steph won. Kenny Smith said Sabrina Ionescu should have shot from the women's three-point line, which is around 3 feet closer, FYI. But I thought this was irrelevant at that particular time and inconsiderate of him to suggest, especially considering she chose to shoot from the NBA three-point line herself, like a G, and her shooting performance was so good it would have landed her in the final round of the NBA three-point shootout. Shout out to Steph and Sabrina for elevating the game. Unfortunately, Steph versus Sabrina Saturday night was the best competition we'd see all weekend, and I don't have many comments on the dunk contest. I think more than anything, the dunk contest needs actual dunkers who have a certain level of creativity. Shout out to Mac for winning his second dunk contest in a row, and I know he's been getting a lot of heat this week, but also shout out to Jaylen Brown for getting out there and trying, even though I think he could have done better overall. So, moving on to the actual All-Star game, this year there was a little bit of buzz around NBA All-Star Weekend since the NBA decided to switch up the format by returning to a more traditional format of East All-Stars versus West All-Stars. The goal was to reinvigorate interest and to encourage the players to actually compete in the All-Star game, similar to years past, like players did around 15 years ago. That did not actually pan out this year, and unfortunately, I don't think many fans were surprised. There were 168 threes taken, and both teams together almost reached 400 points combined, so basically, the game was not competitive at all. Because the players see NBA All-Star Weekend as a weekend off and choose not to compete, many fans at this point have either stopped watching NBA All-Star Weekend or only watch up until a certain point and end up tuning out. Well, that's the problem, and it will only continue to get worse unless the players adopt a new approach. The most interesting thing about NBA All-Star Weekend is it's like the NBA Super Bowl weekend because all the major sponsors, celebrities, and stakeholders are in attendance. In my opinion, I think it's this attitude of All-Star Weekend's a break instead of it's a weekend to market the league to the world. It stems more from the younger players than it does like the veterans like Steph, LeBron, and KD. But nevertheless, this new mentality that the players have adopted has presented the NBA with its biggest challenge moving forward. And that challenge is, how is the NBA going to holistically sell this product to any new potential buyers? Whether it be via streamers or renegotiations with partners of the past like Bally Sports, if the players don't care about the regular season and the fans don't care to watch, why would anyone care to purchase? Sure, there'll always be buyers looking to gain rights to NBA games, but at what point does the NBA lose leverage and have to sell at a discount? And looking one step further out, if the pool of buyers or leverage over potential buyers diminishes, well then so will, eventually, NBA player salaries. People don't watch, buyers buy less, players get less, and so really it's not that complicated to me. There's probably a few different ways to improve All-Star Weekend all around, but the main idea that comes to mind for me is the NBA needs to incorporate more one-on-one competitions. The three-point contest between Steph and Sabrina was a huge success, so clearly people love to watch this type of stuff. And lastly, I think that players will always take individual competition more seriously. I'll wrap this video up by talking about where this really gets interesting, which in my opinion is 5 years from now, around 2029 or 2030. In an NBA league where presumably Steph, LeBron, and KD will all be 40 years or older and retired, what will the NBA do then? Surely we won't be left to Luka tossing half-court shots and Anthony Edwards shooting left-handed during All-Star Weekend in front of the NBA's most influential stakeholders. I love the younger players like Ant-Man, Luka, and Trae Young, but I'm just not sure many of them get it quite yet. I think All-Star Weekend is doomed to continuously become more irrelevant unless the NBA makes continuous tweaks or the bottom line for the players is impacted. But I think that's a great place to conclude for today. So let me know what you think in the comments below about NBA All-Star Weekend. Also, let me know if you think players' salaries will eventually be impacted. And thanks for tuning in. Everybody stay safe and have a nice weekend.
48 views.